Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, but if you think that means it's always hot, you'd be wrong. At night, temperatures can drop to a freezing minus 180 degrees Celsius, while during the day, they can rise to a scorching 430 degrees. This extreme imbalance happens because Mercury doesn't have a real atmosphere to regulate temperature. Instead, it has a very thin exosphere that can't hold heat. You also wouldn't have to worry about weather on Mercury, but the real dangers come from intense solar radiation and the complete lack of breathable air. In fact, Mercury receives almost 7 times the solar energy that Earth does. As the smallest planet in the solar system, Mercury's surface is covered with craters, cliffs, and rough terrain, making it a tough place to land. The lack of air resistance doesn't help either, since it makes slowing down a spacecraft much harder, increasing the chances of a high-speed crash. Landing during the daytime is impossible. The extreme 430-degree heat is far beyond the limits of NASA's latest spacesuits, which can only handle up to 121 degrees. Night isn't any better, with minus 180 degrees, colder than the suit's lower limit of minus 157. The best chance for survival would be landing in the Terminator zone, the twilight region between day and night, where temperatures are more moderate. But even there, conditions remain risky as temperatures can change quickly. Venus is the closest planet to Earth, sitting just about 40 million kilometers away. That means the journey there would be relatively short, around 4 months. Its size and gravity are very similar to Earth's, so at first that wouldn't be much of a problem. But the first real issue you'd face would be those thick yellow clouds. From a distance, they might look beautiful, but they're actually made of sulfuric acid, a highly corrosive substance that would destroy your lungs in seconds. Let's assume, though, that you had an advanced spacesuit capable of filtering it out. As you descend, you'd quickly notice visibility dropping. The atmosphere becomes incredibly thick, made almost entirely of carbon dioxide, so you wouldn't be able to see much. Then comes the heat, an unbearable 450 degrees Celsius. And if that wasn't bad enough, only about 10% of sunlight ever reaches the surface. Since most of it is blocked by the dense atmosphere, that means the surface would be dim and gloomy. Moving around wouldn't be easy either. Even though gravity is nearly the same as Earth's, the air is so dense that every movement would feel like wading through a heavy liquid. With a strong pressurized suit, you might survive for a few seconds. But eventually, the crushing pressure, about 92 times greater than Earth's, would collapse your suit. And if that didn't kill you, the sulfuric acid you'd breathe in once the suit failed definitely would. Mars is often called the red planet, and it's the second closest planet to Earth. At first glance, it looks much more welcoming than Venus or Mercury. Its surface is rocky, dusty, and covered with giant volcanoes and deep canyons. The atmosphere, however, is extremely thin and made mostly of carbon dioxide, which means there's no breathable air. Temperatures are also harsh, dropping to minus 125 degrees Celsius at night and rarely going above 20 degrees in the day. Gravity on Mars is only about 1/3 of Earth's, so moving around would feel much lighter, almost like bouncing. But dust storms can cover the entire planet for weeks, blocking sunlight and making survival even harder. With the right spacesuit and shelter, Mars is the most promising planet for future human colonization. But without them, you wouldn't last more than a few minutes. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, so big it could fit over 1,300 Earths inside. It sits about 780 million kilometers from the sun. There's no solid surface to stand on. Instead, it's a swirling ball of hydrogen and helium gas. The most famous feature is the Great Red Spot, a giant storm larger than Earth that's been raging for centuries. Temperatures in Jupiter's upper atmosphere average around minus 145 degrees Celsius, but deep inside, the pressure and heat rise to extremes hotter than the surface of the sun. Radiation near Jupiter is also deadly, hundreds of times stronger than Earth's. And with gravity 2.5 times stronger than Earth's, walking there would crush you instantly. Any spacecraft or human would be destroyed long before reaching the core. Saturn, the sixth planet from the sun, lies about 1.4 billion kilometers away. It's best known for its stunning rings, made mostly of ice and rock. Like Jupiter, Saturn is a gas giant with no solid ground, just thick layers of hydrogen and helium. Its winds are incredibly fast, reaching 1,800 kilometers per hour, far stronger than any storm on Earth. Temperatures in Saturn's upper atmosphere drop to around minus 178 degrees Celsius, making it one of the coldest places in the solar system. Despite being huge, about 95 times the mass of Earth, its density is so low that if you could put Saturn in water, it would float. Landing there isn't possible, but its moons, like Titan and Enceladus, might hold potential for future exploration. Uranus orbits about 2.9 billion kilometers from the Sun, making it a true ice giant. It's unique because it rotates on its side, tilted at 98 degrees, so its seasons last over 20 years each. The atmosphere is made mostly of hydrogen, helium, and methane. The methane gives Uranus its pale blue color. Temperatures there drop to an incredible minus 224 degrees Celsius, the coldest in the solar system. Winds can also reach 900 kilometers per hour, making the planet far from calm. Gravity is just a bit weaker than Earth's, about 0.9 g, so moving around wouldn't feel too different. But with no solid surface, you'd fall into layers of icy gas and pressure that would quickly crush you. Neptune is the most distant planet, orbiting 4.5 billion kilometers from the Sun. It's another ice giant known for its deep blue color and violent storms. Its atmosphere is full of hydrogen, helium, and methane, just like Uranus, but its winds are the fastest in the solar system. Reaching over 2,100 kilometers per hour, surface temperatures average around minus 214 degrees Celsius, making it freezing cold. Gravity is similar to Earth's, about 1.1 g, so you'd feel only slightly heavier. Neptune has a giant dark storm system similar to Jupiter's Great Red Spot, but it appears and disappears over time. With crushing pressure, no solid ground, and freezing temperatures, Neptune would be impossible to survive on.